Welcome everybody to the August 5th Conservation Commission meeting. Everybody's here, all full-time and alternate members. No members of public. So that means no public comment, no appointments, right into new business. First piece of new business is the commission to review its bylaws and see if any changes are necessary. Does everybody have them? Now, the second piece of business is creating a secretary position and electing somebody to be that secretary. Would that be a revision of these bylaws?
I think so.
Okay, so we can handle 1 and 2 together.
Yeah.
Does anybody see other changes that need to be made to the bylaws?
Maybe just a point of clarification. I have not seen this happen, but certainly now that we have 3 alternates, there was some direction here on how we rotate alternates if a member is missing. Have we kept some kind of record in the past, or
Other than the previous minutes, no.
the source, just
Right.
go from memory, try to figure out who stepped in on the previous? Okay.
Literally up until, a couple months ago, it was never.
Yeah. Right.
We had, if someone was out, okay, well, we only got 1 alternate, and we got 2 people absent, so, join the fun. So, this is really gonna be the first time that we have to be a little cognizant of rotation.
Okay. I guess it's a great challenge to have. I just didn't
Yeah,
know if there
yeah,
was
exactly.
some kind of log, last time so-and-so filled in. Okay.
So the amendment, by creating a secretary position, I'm seeing that would probably fall under Article 2.
I was gonna look at Article 4. We say elections, because those are the only 2 positions that we elect. So I was gonna change the first sentence to say chairperson, vice chairperson, and secretary.
Okay.
And one thing, like, should it be worded so that the secretary position
Can only
is
be
not
given to Jean.
required? Yeah.
Right.
It's like like it may be some commission in the future
That doesn't want
doesn't
one?
want to have a secretary position, so it may be, or doesn't have anybody to fill it. Is there a way to word it so that it's like not mandatory?
Sure, the commission at the time can just change the bylaws.
That does make it harder on them, though.
Well, yes, it does, but if you look at the requirements of the chairperson in Article 5, chairperson shall preside at all meetings, hearings, has the duties normally conferred on such officers, and they are responsible for, the minutes are taken there. I mean, so there's, between the chairman, chairperson and vice chairperson, they have the responsibility to keep the minutes. So if there's ever an absentee of the secretary, I think that requirement is still there. There's an RSA for it.
Okay.
We also want to go to Article 3 on E. It says the commission shall hold their annual meeting in July each year, blah, 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 blah. The commission shall review the bylaws and elect a chairperson.
Oh, yep.
Get rid of and, vice chairperson, comma, and secretary. So I wrote up based on Article 5A.
Yeah.
Am I going?
No, I'm going right there, 'cause I was like, Article, I think we need to Article 5D now.
Okay, because you've got the chairperson shall preside at all meetings and hearings and has the duties normally conferred on such officers. The chairperson shall approve all agendas, ensure the minutes are properly prepared, prepare commission correspondence, is responsible for preparing and presenting the annual budget and annual report for approval by the commission, any other duties that may be required by the chairperson. So my suggestion was gonna be D, the secretary shall prepare the agenda for the chairperson's approval, ensure the minutes are properly prepared, prepare commission correspondence, and respond to emails from the public. Other additional duties may be delegated as deemed by the chairperson and vice chairperson. So I'm not sure how you would want to, go back to A and change things out. I mean, ultimately, the responsibility is gonna be on the chair
Right.
and be delegated to the secretary.
Exactly. That's how I do that.
Okay.
Just for exactly what Mike said, if there's ever not a secretary position, then it's still the responsibility of chairperson, chair, vice chairperson, to
Okay.
get that stuff done.
Okay. So do you want me to add what I just read? Do you want me to read it over again as a D?
Sure, please.
Read that over. So D would be, the secretary shall prepare the agenda for the chairperson's approval, ensure the minutes are properly prepared, prepare commission correspondence, and respond to emails from the public. Other additional duties may be delegated as deemed by the chairperson and vice chairperson.
That sure
So
makes
these
my
are-
job a whole lot easier.
Because I know for me, it's easier when I see things visually than auditory.
I think by saying it the way you have it written here,
Mhm.
it gives you a lot of the responsibilities that had previously been on the chair.
But it does, but it doesn't, because ultimately those are your responsibilities and I am doing them for, as designated for you, as delegated by you. So you are delegating those to me. So in other words, I'm not, just like it says that people aren't just supposed to, go and act on the commission's behalf without approval. I'm not gonna act on the commission's behalf without your approval, unless I'm sure, like you just responded the other day to somebody that was like, can dogs be on the property? So what I'm gonna do is make sure that I know all the answers. If I don't know all the answers, I'm gonna bounce them off you first, until I have my own set file of answers to give out to the public. Does that work for you guys?
I just want to make sure that although we all understand it, I want to make sure that if you look at that 10 years from now, it hasn't done what Matt just said. It just didn't lump all the responsibility on the secretary.
Hmm.
Right.
That's
So, I mean,
my feeling, because
Is somewhere in there, can we stick an assist chairman, vice chair?
Yeah, or you could start letter D with, upon delegation of the commissioner or the chair.
Oh, yeah, something like that.
You put a little clause in there, so it's optional. It's, if those things are assigned, they're free to do that. And they would be items of that nature, correspondence, emails, minutes.
yeah, and I'm almost looking at C, where it says the vice chairperson shall assume the duties of the chairperson in the absence of the chairperson. Other additional duties may be delegated as deemed by the chairperson. I almost see, D.
Borrowing that language.
The secretary may also assume duties delegated by the chairperson
Yeah, that's
and/or
nice.
vice chairperson.
That's nice and broad.
That adds flexibility to whatever commission is, at the time,
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is great, and I would be very happy if you were willing to do these things. But I just think it kind of pigeonholes that position to,
Okay.
you do this, this, and this. But I think being more broad to say, much like C, the secretary,
So give it
shall-
to me slow. The secretary shall.
So where's this, which one, where are we going with this?
adding C to Article 5, D to
D.
Article 5, yeah.
AD Article 5.
to read much like C, say the secretary,
Shall assume the duties.
Or may also assume, right? As if you want it to remain optional, you don't want a
Yep.
shall in there.
yeah.
Assume the duties You want me to say of the chairperson?
Delegated by the chairperson
Yeah.
and/or vice chairperson.
Because I'm not gonna assume, like, if you're not here, I'm not running the meeting. I'm just letting you know.
We almost got away with it.
Just letting you know upfront.
Nice vice chair.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Oh, almost got away with it, Matt. You saw through us.
Nice try.
So I think the wording should say something like, the secretary may assume duties delegated by the chair and/or vice chair. Very broad.
But not specify any duties? And if so, why have a secretary?
Yeah, I mean,
It's kind of the same as the vice chair.
Well, but that, in that event, you could say, which may include, and then put down some of those. And that way it's a little bit clearer
Right.
what the secretary's job would be.
the correspondence type things primarily, I guess.
So, I mean, but that way, it's very specific to non-public minutes.
Well, maybe you could say, may assume administrative duties as needed by the chair or vice chair. 'Cause then it
Adding
sort of
that one word.
delineates between they're not running meetings, but they're behind the scenes.
You could so
It
do
still
it,
keeps
Gina.
it broad.
Is that good?
You could so do it.
What?
Yeah.
You could so do it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what I used to do for a job, so.
No, I meant run meetings.
Run the meeting.
I don't wanna run a meeting. I don't like sitting at the big tables. You notice I moved myself back over here. I don't like the big tables. I'm not a big
There's a lot of
table
leg room
person.
over here.
I don't need that much. I'm just a little peanut.
We can get you a smaller table.
I'm at the kiddie table.
Put a couple plants over there, it'll be good.
All right.
So we only have 2 additions. We have the Article 4 edition, or I'm sorry, 3 additions. Article 4 edition, right? That says, that adds the "and secretary."
That's Article 3, isn't it?
Article 3,
Article 3E.
3E.
3E, 4A, and now we added 5D. So how does 5D read now? We have a final,
The secretary may assume the duties, no, wait a minute, we're not. The secretary may assume the duties by the chair and/or vice chair. Duties may include, yeah, we really didn't finish it. Administrative duties,
How about the
And
secretary
assume the duties
may
delegated by.
assume administrative duties
is
as-
delegated by the chair and vice chair.
You probably just need one sentence there.
So what was so wrong about Gina's first wording?
It was very, shall prepare the agenda for the chairperson's approval, ensure the minutes are properly prepared, prepare commission correspondence. So it was a list of things that they shall do. And I think it's just, where the vice chair really gets off by, if chairperson isn't here, they have to do things.
Yeah.
I think that it's better to say the secretary may assume administrative duties assigned by the chairperson or vice chairperson. Very broad.
I prefer specific or not have the position. That's my personal preference.
Should we change the vice chair then to actually have responsibilities?
I'm betting that. I'm not sure what the vice chair's responsibilities would be. But
So along with that, Tim, would you also want to see some of the duties that are listed specifically as the chairperson's responsibility to be removed then? So for example, the minutes, currently that's listed as a chairperson duty. You'd want to see it moved over under the secretary.
Well, so for that particular example, I would prefer that the chair is ultimately responsible for the,
I mean, the chair is ultimately responsible for everything. It boils down to what can be delegated. So, and the delegation parts in case people are, you know, wondering years down the line when all of us are
Yeah.
not here.
Because basically B, I don't have a problem with that. We know that D is gonna have it in there if we go down the specific route. But I don't think that obscures or changes B in any way.
I mean, you could say the secretary, that these duties may include, as opposed to shall be.
Or could it be as simple as shall assist with, and then that list of responsibilities?
Well, and I thought that this was also so you didn't have to do something each time, like approve or, you know,
That's the, I'm
delegate
thinking.
something every meeting to you, if it's spelled out, you know.
Yeah.
We have a pretty solid idea of what things.
Yeah, because I mean, when I come in here for a non-public meeting, I'm pretty certain that I'm gonna be taking the minutes at this point, you know? I mean, that
We don't
just.
fight over it.
No, that just seems to have become my thing, so, I mean, it's helpful to me if I know what are my things, you know? So that way, it's something, nothing gets dropped, because we don't want something to get dropped. So I guess the question is to write out certain things, and I mean, this is something that Matt, Steve, and I can sit down and we can say, okay, these are the things that need to be done for each meeting, who's gonna do what?
Yeah, to Tim's earlier point, I mean, you guys will come up with your own routine that works for you.
Right.
And if a subsequent membership wants to adjust that because, you know, you take a different position or whatnot, that can be done right in here.
Should we leave it like this for now and then next year, when we have a system working? Well, of course, we don't know who's gonna keep president and who's gonna keep.
I don't
this.
believe we have to wait
No,
to
we
adjust
don't.
our bylaws.
Okay, oh, we don't?
We have to review them yearly. I
Okay.
don't believe we have to wait.
I mean, I don't mind keeping secretary if you guys want me to stay secretary, as long as I do a decent job with it, but, you know, I mean.
Well, no, I'm just saying, but if we, in a month from now, you know, after 2 meetings, we decide this is how it's gonna work and it
Yeah.
works well, we can amend these again and say,
Oh, that's what you're
here's the staples, here's how that works.
All right,
Can I take another stab at, oh, sorry.
sure.
Okay, so I guess tonight, correct me if I'm wrong on how this is gonna work, but tonight we will formalize what we think is the wording. We'll get another copy of this with the wording put in it, possibly highlighted or underlined, for us to review and approve. And then we have much like we do when we review the town bylaws and stuff, we have a third meeting for the final approval. Is that how you guys have done it in the past, or for the public?
It's never been that formal.
Okay.
We've changed it, made the changes, read it out to each other and said, okay, I'm gonna submit it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, cause it's well captured in the, as you know, the minutes are pretty pretty in-depth, so we've captured, I mean, if we need to go down that road, obviously, there's nothing stopping us. It's
Well, I
just-
just didn't know if there was some need to notify the public once we put the wording in and then accepted it once it's all printed up.
We have notified the public. It's on the agenda.
Yo, but we've notified we're gonna do it, we're
Yeah.
reviewing it, and now tonight we're
Yeah.
talking about changing it, so.
Go ahead, Matt, read it.
Yeah, we haven't normally done that in the past because it's our own operating procedures. As opposed to having an impact to the public, it really shouldn't have any impact to the public, what we're doing.
And that's why I asked the question.
Okay, I'm gonna take another stab at it, see if this language is better, and maybe we can review it next time, for approval. But, I'll read C first, which is the vice chairperson shall assume the duties of the chairperson in absence of the chairperson. Other additional duties may be delegated as deemed by the chairperson. D, the secretary may assume administrative duties delegated by the chairperson or vice chairperson to include commission correspondence, non-public minutes taking, and the preparation of the minutes,
The agenda.
of the agenda and minutes.
Does that check all the boxes you'd hope to do with secretary? when you were thinking about the position?
Yeah, I think it's certainly better, yeah.
All right, so at some point I'm gonna need to, I'll just take a picture of that before I leave.
You can have it back.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
So do you want, are you gonna write that in and have changes for the next meeting, or are we gonna just vote on, do you want a motion to vote on that now?
If anybody has strong feelings the other way, I'd take a motion.
Just before we do that, on the top of page 3, this is Article 5A, that's continuing. The fourth sentence down, just to update chairman with chairperson, there's 2 instances of it.
Oh, okay.
Chairperson.
Also, with the nature of this document, do alternates get to vote on this too, or no? No?
No, only when voting for officers. Unless they want to change that right now.
Oh, oh.
I suppose that's up to you guys.
No, that's all I had, I'm sorry.
Is anybody thinking about a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the changes to the Conservation Commission bylaws. And so this will be revised, what's the date today? August 5th, 2019.
Second the motion?
Discussion? All those in favor?
Do you wanna read it one time to make sure we're all?
The secretary may assume
Oh,
adminis-
I would start with article, section, and read the couple adds that we're gonna do and make sure everyone's all in agreement.
All right, so, Article 3, Section E. We are going to, so the second sentence would read, "The commission shall review the bylaws and elect a chairperson," add a comma, take out the word "and," vice chairperson, comma, and add "and secretary" to serve for the following year. And then we're going to go over to Article 5, Section C. Nope, not Section C, I'm sorry. Where am I?
We're adding section D.
There we are, I'm sorry. Article 4, Section A, the chairperson. Add a comma, take out the word "and," the vice chairperson, add a comma, add "and secretary shall be elected." And then we want, Article 5, we want to add Section D.
Section A, you're changing chairman to chairperson. We're changing.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Article 5, Section A, change chairperson, chairman to chairperson in 2 places. And then in Section D, also Article 5, that addition will be: the secretary may assume administrative duties delegated by the chairperson or vice chairperson to include commission correspondence, non-public minutes, and preparation of the agendas and minutes.
Any discussion?
Do you want to also add anything about emails on there, or leave that?
That's covered in correspondence.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? All right, that passes 7-0-0 with all full-time members in favor. Great. That takes care of all the new business. Now, old business. Oh, right, we have to elect secretary.
Oh, that's right.
Skip that part. All right. Are there any nominations for secretary?
Gina Rosati.
Oh.
I'll second the nomination.
I accept.
I don't think there's gonna be much discussion on this. All those in favor of Gina being the secretary? All right, 7-0-0.
Notice I just voted for myself.
It's
Good
okay.
Show of confidence.
You can do that.
That's right.
May I suggest we take up item B under old business first?
Okay, and then we'll change the room around. All right, so old business, B, unpermitted removal of water from wetlands. This is a continued discussion from last meeting. Do you have something on this?
Well, I did get some legal correction. I also printed up for everybody here the fact sheet, if you want to pass it around for the DES, which the law refers to. And an addendum to that for everybody regarding the temporary intermittent water withdrawals from surface waters and how the conditions in which it's permitted and limited. So if you want to take a quick peek at that. I think I emailed it to the Conservation Commission too.
You did.
so-
Can I ask one?
Paper's always good.
The second attachment on that, was, yeah, that one right there, was that something you put together, or is that something that's already in,
That's something that's already in. That's part of their,
that's part of
their
our
rules.
town,
Part of the- No, that's part of the DES.
oh,
So for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's part of their, I guess this kind of explains in detail what the temporary intermittent water withdrawal conditions and limitations are for permitted water withdrawals.
yeah, it's just that the fact sheet didn't say anything about the backflow devices.
Yeah.
It just said you can't do it, but it didn't say it required a backflow device. And this specifically does say you have to have a backflow device.
Yep.
So I didn't know if that was something we, from the town, had put in there.
Yeah, not only that, but the fact sheet itself insinuates it's okay to withdraw from wetlands, but it's specifically carved out here under section 6. Water withdrawals from vernal pools and wetlands, other than constructed fire ponds and farm irrigation ponds, are prohibited. So I thought this came from our own legal, but you're saying this is actually the DES rules. This is an
Yeah,
addendum to
as
that.
I've read, everything I've read, you can't draw from the wetlands.
Yeah, the wetlands and the vernal pool, I think the fact sheet is referring to streams and lakes. That's how I interpreted it, but that,
Mhm.
you got a good point, if it really makes it. Water withdrawals from surface waters are permissible without permit under certain conditions. Yeah, drawing water from rivers, lakes at a convenient access point or bulk water transportation, so it specifically says rivers or lakes, the beginning of the fact sheet.
Yeah, I think number 2 at the bottom of page 1, it refers to if you're only doing such and such, you don't need a wetlands permit, so I think that was throwing me off
Yeah,
as far as being permissible.
right.
But if that's the case, then there ought to be some teeth to having that company cease doing what they're doing.
It's confusing.
Yeah, it is, it's, well, yeah, it allows you kind of leads you down two different paths. But I think we just fixed it though, or we just understood it. Yeah, because what they're drawing water is, it's really just kind of a swampy area, it's not really a river.
It's definitely a wetland, yeah, for sure.
tell the town, I mean, it's town property.
That almost seems like it doesn't matter.
It's not,
I don't believe, I believe that's all private property where they're drawing water from. We
But
should-
if they're,
The flow that goes,
if they're drawing from the side of the road, then I think it is considered town property. That's what the email said from the legal counsel.
so they're drawing the water just on the west side of the guardrail, where the water flows under the road, under South Babusick Lake Road into the Babusick Lake. They're pulling over on the sand there.
Yeah, the clarification on the town property is, in the email, was the DPW director indicated that they need permission from the riparian landowner. And if they're drawing it from the road, the town is the riparian landowner. And you need certain permissions. So Kyle clarifies that, so if they're drawing it from the side of the road, they technically need our permission under the DES rules, so.
Just to clarify, when you say our permission, the town's permission,
Town's
not the
permission.
Conservation
No.
Commission? Okay.
The town's permission, that's how they refer to it here. Now, going back to, the legal counsel has said, and you folks have all seen the email, but I'm saying it for the purpose of the meeting, is that withdrawals are allowed within the parameters provided on the DES fact sheet. Landowner permission is required, but only where the town is the fee owner of the road or land abutting the water body. On some roads, we might have an easement or right-of-way, but an abutter or two actually own the fee, which is the underlying land. In that case, the permission must be obtained from the abutter or the landowner. Now, the council can adopt, they're saying the council can adopt an intermittent temporary surface water withdrawal permission that incorporates the DES fact sheet. But we can't deny anybody's request unless it fails to meet the state requirements, and I think that's what you saw, the follow-up sheet there. And she recommended that you could amend this under the zoning ordinance in section 2.02.7 wetlands. So that is her guidance. If and I think that's really what we came to with this issue, was we wanted legal guidance on this, and if the Conservation Commission wants to move forward on it. So, and bring it to the council to make a recommendation on it if you think it would be helpful or not. I think that's where we were, correct me if I'm wrong. So.
yeah, I mean, I think this, to me, it's supposed to be pretty clear, exactly what you said. It's wetlands. So they need to find somewhere else to draw water from, and they can't deny it based on this, as they have a backflow device or whatever, but.
But, and I think that, I mean, even without changing any of the ordinances in
No.
town or the zoning laws, I guess now that needs to be communicated when there's a question that comes up, such as the Syria off of South Babusick Lake Road. They need to maybe reach out, the town needs to reach out to us if they receive a complaint and say, hey, is this a wetlands? They may already be able to do that on their own, probably can.
Yeah.
And then if it's identified as wetlands, we have to tell this person to stop, and maybe issue them a warning if they, depends on how, I guess you want to handle it by that situation. You might have a hydro seeding company that doesn't realize any of this. and
Right.
thinks,
That's
so.
it, they just need to be told you need to find a different
Yeah,
body of water
exactly.
to draw from, and just
So,
garner permission prior.
I mean, I can gladly sit down with the town manager and the chairman of the town council and say, hey, look, this is what we found. This may be the way to handle this if you get a complaint. So if someone, let's say, I'll use Mike for example, sees this, he may call the town hall and say, I think there's some type of illegal water being drawn, illegal water drawing going on. And then the town would just have to follow up and investigate it.
So
Without having to create any more ordinances or anything.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's already illegal. So who's responsible for, you know, any DES, you know, where they break their regulations or laws? Who enforces that in the town?
We go through Tim Thompson,
Okay.
as our conduit for, because he records the complaints and then brings that up to the town manager
Okay.
and enforcement.
Would they typically pay a visit, or would they drop a letter probably initially?
It depends on what the problem is. You know, we've had pretty broad range of issues, you know, trees cut on property, and to me, this might be something as simple as, you've gotta go down to the Babusick Brook, or you gotta go down to a stream or
Yeah.
body of water that is not a wetland. And I'm like, oh, okay, and that might be the end of that.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle relates to me that typically they've drawn some water out of Natticook in the
Yep.
past. They've drawn it out of Babusick Brook. I mean, I've seen them over the years pulling water out of Babusick Brook. And those larger water bodies, so this is kinda a little different. And I think because that business owner lives right over in that location, and that might be his only access to Babusick Lake to pull the water from. So, you know, but, you know, and Kyle kinda listed some of the dust mitigation when there's town paving and stuff like that going on. They draw water from some of these water bodies, you know, for that purpose as well, so. And it's town authorized at that time.
I found this, you know, as I was reading these articles and then also reading the bylaws, you know, our first bylaw is the purpose of the Conservation Commission is to assist in protecting the natural resources and watershed resources, and it's like, well, here we are. This is the first thing on our agenda, or on our bylaws. This fits perfect. Does that mean we make a recommendation to
Well, I mean,
how to handle it?
if you're asking me, Matt, I think this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first complaint I've really heard about. People ask questions, but this is a legitimate complaint where Mike recognized an area that he questioned what they should be drawing water from. But usually, we'll get asked occasionally, the town's been asked, it's been my experience. And it's usually from other bodies of water that the town has no question, there's never been a question about where they're taking that water from.
I can tell you, I mean, there's been like, I live on BB Lane, there's been, there's in the neighborhood, Facebook things, people have said like, there's a truck drawing water, or, you know, is that legal? You know, it's kind of like thing, they're kind of like this.
Well, I mean, I think you found it, it's in the wetlands, no. In the stream and river, lake, okay. But they need to have permission.
So other people have been aware of it.
So I think it's-
and figuring something is fishy, you know.
So I think it's just a matter of notification, except probably the town councils probably don't realize that distinction
Mhm.
between the wetlands and, oh, it's a body of water versus a stream or a
Yeah.
lake.
And, yeah.
So it's just, I think it's probably gonna be more of a notification issue.
And to follow up on what Matt was saying, I agree with you, Matt, that's one of the duties of this commission, but what the legal counsel cited was the zoning ordinance pertaining to wetlands. So I guess that kind of makes the town somewhat responsible under the zoning ordinance as well for those issues.
I mean, I don't know if we had to make a recommendation, I mean, what would it be? Place 3 large rocks and a sign that says no drawing water from this water body? I mean,
Yeah, protectively, I guess, yeah, we could create a sign and say, no drawing water from this location.
I think initially we have a phone number and,
right,
you
yeah.
know, I
That
think-
kills that one.
right, but that's, you know, that's,
One I had.
you know, that does get around.
Well, I mean, the other thing too is we know the truck, we have the picture of the truck.
Yeah, well, that's
Can
what I'm saying, we
just
have the
send-
phone
yeah.
number, so we can, you know,
Send
hey,
it.
and would you, you know, tell people, you know, your competitors or whoever you deal with on a regular basis.
Yeah,
You gotta get permission, and it can't be a wetland.
Right.
It was a number of years ago, but I recall the Natticook Lake Association, probably got the name wrong, but when they installed the new ramp,
Yep.
they put some signage
Yep,
there
yeah.
talking about the same thing, because they were afraid that contractors were going to back down on this nice new ramp and
Yep.
draw water from Natticook, and in doing so,
Introduce.
with their
Milfoil
milfoil
and-
to the, yeah, so that was the issue
Well,
there.
But if you look at they have to, all the vehicles have to be equipped with, I don't know,
The backflow.
it can't discharge, it
Yeah,
can
backflow-
only draw, it
backflow
can't
preventer, yeah.
backwash.
Yeah, and though that does help, I'm sure, whatever's that nozzle that they, draw with, that would have to be cleaned. It's sort of like the bottom of a boat. They want you to clean the bottom of the boat before putting it in Natticook. That would be the contractor's,
Responsibility, yeah.
responsibility to clean the head before they put it in the lake. So, yeah.
So I guess you kind of brought it up, is there any direction that the commission, I have no problem communicating with the town manager and the council. Is there a concern or direction the commission would ask us to go in?
I personally I'd like the commission to know the town councils to know the difference, the wetlands versus, and vernal pool versus a river and lake body. And then just go through Tim Thompson and say, look, can someone notify this guy? You can't do that. And he's,
Hopefully it won't come up too often.
and, it doesn't mean, I think the last time we saw that, Tim, I think you saw someone pulling water from Babusick Brook. That was 4 or 5 years ago. Remember you talking about it a while ago? It was a while ago.
Right.
And that's how often this is brought up to the council, it's to this commission.
Mhm.
It's not a seemingly regular event.
Yeah.
I would think right now, I think it's probably more prevalent in the spring when people are filling pools and.
So I guess then, the conversation should be had that, these are the facts, so, and the town manager's been CC'd on all of these as well.
Yep.
The community development should be aware in case they receive any other further complaints. And
Yep.
and if town hall or anybody receives it, maybe that, it's something that needs to be, then if a citizen makes a complaint, referred to community development for investigation.
I have a related question. We're gonna do chapter 111 soon, and there's a category of properties that has to do with water and the brooks and everything. I wonder if we could add any of this language, would that even help? I mean, this already exists, so I'm not sure it would just be anything but redundant to put it in chapter 111 information, but to have someone aware that the drawing of water from wetlands is illegal in another place might be helpful if they were looking at that. I don't know. I guess
I guess, Mike, chapter 111 is an ordinance, and so it would get sent to the town council for approval, and correct me if I'm wrong on that, once we've made all the adjustments to this. So I'm not personally, I don't personally see a need for that wording to go in there. I think
It's already here.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm just spitballing.
Could it be something as simple as, water can only be drawn per DES guidelines?
Sure.
Just so people know there's something there.
Right.
And then it's gonna be, however, I don't think their policies are gonna get less strict. So regardless of what they do, we'll be enforcing their policy.
Yeah.
$20,000.
All right, so for old business item B, Pete, you're gonna take it back to town council and town manager? And, great, okay.
And just, I think it's more of a, let's all get on the same page.
Yep.
And how we handle this.
Thanks for your legwork, too. All right, now, business, chapter 111 updates.
So, we are at the point where it's time to pick properties and categorize them. Now, I took a stab at it. It's in the Excel spreadsheet that we've all been looking at for a long time now. Yep. Yeah.
Should have put that on these too. Production manager.
You gotta change your bylaws.
Handles lighting, audio.
That's right.
Cindy, did you make the motion for secretary?
Yes.
So, did I? Okay. Writing.
That was the-
Come on, screen.
Remember that. Do we want a little bit of light so that we can see anything, or we're good?
Oh, there it goes.
Good by me.
So, do we want to sit here and go through one at a time?
Sure.
Do we want to refresh ourselves as to what is a major, what are the rules for these things? So, those are the proposed. None, major property, Wasserman, River and Brook, and well property. Now, as we got into it, we realized that the difference between major property and Wasserman became the same thing. We had agreed that we wanted to go down the path of passive recreation. If I understand correctly what we did, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of what we're at. So take us back to Excel spreadsheet. Here, let me make this a little bit smaller so you can see the common name for the property. So Horse Hill. Major property?
Yes.
For sure.
So are we gonna use the term major property, and major property plus Wasserman is the same?
Yeah, right, so major property is now just major, they're both just major property, right, collapse it. Makes sense?
Okay, so we're getting rid of the plus Wasserman?
Yep.
So as that naming convention goes, there's not gonna be a differentiation with hunting or not, because there is none in Wasserman. Did we address that? Discharging a weapon?
That's a
I
good
didn't
point.
think they could be lumped together because of that point, I thought.
That's a good point. Okay, so what would be in a major property then?
I would think.
Discharge of firearms other than legal hunting?
Based on what we've gotten for legal opinions, I don't think it's a good idea for us to try and limit the use of firearms on properties that don't have it in their deeds.
No,
'Cause
we did it.
we can, if
Did it
we've done it in
again,
other places, but we just have to be prepared, it could be challenged legally.
We did it at Greater Woods. And we put up, we got rid of the shooting range, and we put up,
We put up our rule that says no target shooting, but we have no, we potentially have no legal standing, potentially.
that's correct.
Right.
Other than the fact that we're putting our foot in the ground, we're the property owner,
Mhm.
so we can make that decision. Where it's not town property, not public land.
So for major property, we could say no target shooting and passive recreation, meaning no snowmobiles, ATVs, OHRVs, dirt bikes. Period.
All right, so say that again. I was looking at the all definition.
I mean, could you just sort of copy and paste number 3, but then change the hunting and trapping part? Sorry, Cindy, about the trapping. I don't have a certain opinion, just saying it.
Whoops. It did, didn't it? Look at that. I'll fix it later.
Yeah, go to the second one and, yeah, and now right-click on it. And restart numbering. Oh, okay.
Damn Apple people.
There you go.
Eh.
So we're gonna get rid of the hunting and trapping?
Yeah, I think that's the difference, right?
So what do we do about something like Greater Woods? We just said there's no,
No snowmobiles as well?
Can you refresh my memory on why we've titled it Major Property and Wasserman?
Only because Wasserman has it's more restrictive in the deed, and it's in the way it was deeded to us, so
So wouldn't we just call it, just
Wasserman.
classify it as Wasserman?
we could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's just kind of, looking
Yeah.
at it, I'm saying, it kind of throws you off a little bit.
well, I think the reason was initially because we had some other properties that we were going to label
That's right.
with that,
Okay.
and we didn't wanna call them Wasserman.
All right.
So maybe we should come up with another
Yeah.
category heading altogether, but
There was another one discussed that we thought might have to be lumped in with that, Fields Farm or Sklar.
Scalar, I think, was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Fields Farm is passive only. I think that's gonna be very much like Fields Farm.
They hunt there though, for sure.
Well, they do now, don't
Mhm.
they?
Well, it's only in the deed. Can we say no?
I know, but in the deed, it makes it sound like they wanted it to be a park.
Why don't we, when we get there, we get there,
Okay, yeah.
okay?
Yellowstone's a park.
So,
Yellowstone's a park.
reading major property,
You can hunt in Yellowstone.
and is there, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a trickle-down effect, like all covers all. Major property is covered by all,
Mm. Yeah,
and has additional, that would
Right.
be major property. Okay, so we almost could put in major property, we could just add the additional no target shooting.
Well, that's a pretty good idea. And then you would say everything in number 1 plus, and then everything in number 1 and 2 plus as you go down.
Well, if we're gonna say no target shooting, that'd be on all the properties, right? Shouldn't that just be an all then, if we're deciding to go that route?
You can't though, I think, because all includes the properties that you can target shoot and hunt.
Well, no, but we're making a distinction between hunting and target shooting. Cause we have signs that say no target shooting in Greater Woods.
Right.
And this is the part that could be a little confusing with the legal aspects, but right now, we've taken the position that there is no target shooting allowed on any of our properties, as the property owner. But,
Good point.
So major property is really all.
That's what it looks like.
It's gonna include all.
It's kind of the way it was when it first started. I'm okay with it, as long as we get just a decision.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Does that mean that major property plus Wasserman can just become major property?
Could, right, if we decide to, right? Yeah, you
Well,
could.
we get back to the hunting problem, though. The inconsistency that Wasserman has with the others, or any deed restricted property for hunting.
Because which one of the Watkins, Mitchell Woods has the no hunting?
You can hunt in Watkins, not in Mitchell Woods,
Right.
Okay,
right? Yeah, Watkins is on the other side of the stone wall.
so there's a major property plus Wasserman, Mitchell Woods.
Well, it's like that now because it's in chapter 111 that way. We're proposing a change in chapter 111. I don't think, it's not in the deed for Mitchell Woods.
Oh, it's not?
Nope.
But we could, with chapter 111, put it there.
Well, so it is there with the current chapter 111, okay? So I guess we need to be are we good with all? Everything that's in all?
Well, I mean, if you're gonna do all, then 2 could be all plus Wasserman instead of major property plus Wasserman. You don't really need number 2 then,
Correct, we don't need a number 2 if we do this.
Mhm.
'cause that would just simplify things. Although that's gonna kind of mess up your list where you have major property.
Well, let's see, major property could just become major property plus Wasserman. It can just change the name of it and get rid of the Wasserman title.
Well, the other thing too, if you wanna make it easier on yourself, is change number 1 all to number 1 major property. And then get rid of number 2 and make number 3 number 2. I'm sorry.
I prefer calling it all.
Okay.
Yeah, my only concern with Wasserman is that I don't want to have Scholar say it's under the Wasserman rule. Or any other, or Mitchell Woods under the Wasserman rule. It seems like we should be keeping the titles relatively generic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we name major property plus Wasserman, deed restricted.
So these, well, hold on. These names are just for us to settle down. They're not gonna end up in the ordinance, okay?
Hmm.
Right?
So that is,
It's for us to categorize, okay?
So do we want-
ABC.
Right, they could be category A, B, C, or D. In fact, when we get further down the road, that's exactly the way we're gonna go forward. We take this for public hearing.
Oh, then we could just leave it as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so as a default under all then, is hunting included or no? Like, if it's not listed there, it means you can hunt,
Correct.
right?
That's right.
So let me add one more thing. What about hours restrictions? Do we want to remove the hours restrictions we have on some of our properties now?
What is it currently, sunrise, sunset?
30 minutes
On-
after sunrise, 30 minutes before sunset, I think.
On a
Depends on
couple
the
of them.
property too.
So there's 6 properties that have a dawn to dusk, basically.
Wildcat
Yeah,
being the most contentious.
correct.
My personal opinion is to keep it as inclusive as possible with all the hours, but most of the properties that already have hours restrictions are in residential neighborhoods, and I could see why that would be. You know, I don't know what anyone would have much business at Wildcat, for example, at 2 in the morning, what they'd be doing there, you know?
The people,
snowshoe hike.
especially in the winter,
Yeah.
people will use the properties in the dark.
Yeah, at 5 or 6 PM, right? Sure. I do myself, but I go to Horse Hill or a place I know it's not an issue, you know. I wouldn't go to a neighborhood place. That's just me, but if someone
Unless you
said
live in the
take away
neighborhood.
all the limitations, I'd be for it, frankly.
I was thinking, but if you lived in the neighborhood, you'd go.
Well, sure, yeah, yeah.
Well, hunters are gonna be there before
I
dawn.
mean, down to dusk, I violated that.
I do, all the time.
Yeah, they like to be in place when the sun rises, that's right. But they're not hunting in Wildcat or the
Right.
neighborhood park.
Well, they can hunt on the other side, the highway side of Wildcat.
And
as it
Watkins,
is, correct me if I'm
according to
wrong, I
Lisa,
thought we
it's behind the
talked
house.
about this. If somebody had something they wanted to do in the evening, doing, like Gina had suggested, a winter night hike, they can come to this commission and say, hey, we're proposing, we have 30 people, we want to come through during the evening and look at that. And we can authorize them to do that, correct?
I would say no, if it's in chapter 111, I think we'd have to come up to town council.
Oh, comes
Yeah.
okay.
We went to
So it wouldn't
town
be
council.
before the commission,
Well, we
even
would,
for conservation land?
we would hope the council would seek the input of the commission
Yeah.
in making an approval or not.
But even conservation land itself directly?
Well, again, it's in the chapter, it's in the ordinance now,
Yeah.
so.
So once it goes, because we don't really have any enforcement ability.
Gotcha, okay.
So I think we can't tell people to go ahead and break town code.
I just don't see the dawn to dusk thing unless it's a gated property. How that can-
No, just because we have it, that doesn't mean we have to use it.
Correct.
Yeah, I'd be fine with lifting it, but I don't know how some of the members of the public would who live in those neighborhoods, but.
I can assure you there'd be, if they knew, there'd be outrage. At least on some of the properties. Some of them, they probably don't even know there's a restriction on them. Like the parcel off Honeysuckle or whatever, there's a number of them that are, so you wouldn't know. Unless you were around in 1995 when the original ordinance was passed and you participated at that town meeting, right, so.
Is it gonna draw attention to the issue if we make changes? It will then,
Well, now, if we create a category that has dawn to dusk, I'm sure people will come out and speak to it. I'm not sure, but I suspect people will come out and speak to it, and they may even suggest it should be on Horse Hill as well. They may suggest it, doesn't mean we have to, right?
Yeah.
Or the council has to, they may suggest it though. But I would, you know, for the sake of transparency, when we go and we start putting this out, this change out, we should be very clear that if we remove the hours thing, that we remove the hours on these parcels. That was part of our suggestion. We shouldn't just see if it'll slide through. That would not be the right thing to do,
sure.
right? And I'm not suggesting we would do that. I'm just saying I'd want to be very clear and transparent. Just like some of these other changes, because, we're talking about no ATVs now on any of our properties, right? That's something we want to be very clear of, that's what we're suggesting. And then have the discussion, right?
Sure.
I'd even rather see like 9 PM instead of dusk.
I've gone,
Oh,
sorry,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I've gone up to, the top of Blodgett Hill or Horse Hill, New Year's Eve, or just to see like shooting stars and things at midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. I've done it many, many times, and I enjoy it. I've even bumped into other people doing the exact same thing.
I think one of the things the dawn to dusk curfew, or if you want to call it that, a restriction helps is, and it goes back, it's kind of settled down now, but Wildcat Falls Conservation Area used to be a huge party area. And it helped the police, it gave them the legal out to tell these folks, you gotta be out of here. And so I think that's really has been the concern. I think you get those people that do the night hikes, like you're saying, Mike, but I think the police have always liked to have that have that to fall back on to say, these are the rules here, for these, just those situations.
So if needed, it's there. But, you know.
I'm sorry, Mike?
Usually not enforced, but if needed to be, it's there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just like an officer has some leeway on whether to give a ticket or not, right?
Discretion.
Right, discretion, yeah.
Would we have any ability to, say no disturbances, dawn to, dusk to dawn, no disturbances? I mean, is that enough teeth to give the police some leeway, or is that not worthwhile?
I guess the word is pretty
Yeah.
vague.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, I'm leery of words like that
Yeah.
legally. I get with the sentiment is where you're going with that,
Yeah.
and I don't disagree with it, but I would hesitate with that.
What would bring a police officer to finding someone after hours? I think would have to be a property owner complaint.
A ruckus.
Yeah, so it would be similar to enforcing the, my neighbors are being loud, law, like,
Disturbing the peace?
yeah, so the cop would show up, he would probably make a judgment, probably tell people to quiet down. Probably wouldn't do any major action unless if there was actually something going on.
I mean, Eric, it's been, with my experience, it's been most of the time over the years, you get down there, you locate a party or something, it's usually, we make them pick up. Sometimes it's because they've got a campfire, sometimes the music's loud, on the, like Wildcat Falls Conservation Area. Obviously, they like to go right out by the falls at night, or they used to, and there's houses right across that river there. And so these folks are tired of hearing the screaming and yelling. Or it's, all of a sudden you see the parking lot's got 20 cars in it after dark, and you're thinking, well, okay, what's going on here? Things like that that's what usually brings it to the attention of the police.
So do we want to just plug through and see if we end up using this category or not?
Sure.
Now, Mike, you had suggested setting hours instead. Does-
Yeah. But, Pete mentioned, having those teeth in there in case the police need to,
Yeah.
use it, so I
Okay.
can understand that.
All right. Okay, so Horse Hill becomes all? White Pine Swamp? Does everyone know where that is?
Yeah. Is that one of the water? How's the water one get broken down? They have slightly more restrictive limitations with the, or was that just well property specifically?
So we had River and Brook
River and Brook, right?
and well property.
Do you want to make it river, brook, and wetland?
We just call it, if you want to follow it. So at this point, is there a difference between all and River and Brook?
Doesn't appear to be.
It doesn't appear to be.
Right.
Unless you're gonna start
just-
splitting hairs, I mean, are we allowed to pull plants out of River and Brook? Shrubs? I mean,
Everything-
obviously no, but I mean,
Everything that would apply in one would apply to four.
that's where you wanna add your water removal only per DES guidelines?
I'm a fan. You could put that in all. No drawing from surface water bodies. Covers the permission issue on any of the conservation properties right there.
Yeah, any property we put on here, we would cover them, right, without,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna bother to put in no dumping, drawing water is of a similar vein.
just no drawing of water, or we want to put without permission?
Yeah, I mean, I know some people will be like, well, I can't, filter my water bottle now, but, no commercial drawing of water? I don't know.
Oh, boy.
And I don't even
Yeah,
think he
yeah.
was a fan of putting any of it in there, but.
It just becomes a rabbit hole. Because you're never gonna be able to list all the things you can't do, because someone's gonna be like, well, I could do this.
Well, yeah, I mean, we went down that avenue
Yeah.
last time with the berries and the flowers and the
Yep.
trees, plants, shrubs, right?
Right. So, we're gonna leave that alone for now?
Might as well.
Yes.
But this one basically goes away then, right?
I mean, is there anything that's more
Well, we could
conservative
always,
there?
we could always make a change to number 4, whatever it becomes, A, B, whatever we're gonna call it, that would trickle down then into the properties that we've named in number 4. So I think it's nice to have them separate.
It's nice to identify what has water in it, river and brook, although, I mean, you're gonna also have water in all too. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really see the need of it, but,
I mean, going back to White Pine Swamp specifically, because that's what we're trying to do right now, from a management perspective, it makes more sense to lump it in with Horse Hill. It's right there.
It's right there.
Does White Pines allow hunting?
White Pine Swamp? I guess it would. There's no deed restrictions on it, so.
And people hunt ducks in there.
Yeah, that's
is that, that's near you, Cindy, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
My backyard.
So people are hunting back there? Do you hear the guns going off?
Sounds like it's coming right through the window.
There's already restrictions on the discharge of firearms in proximity to homes or
Right.
dwellings. So, as long as they're not,
250 feet or something.
I know, but it goes across the water, so
But you
it
brought-
sounds like
oh,
it's
yeah, I
going to
know- I
come
know
right
this.
through
There's
the
no-
window.
There's no sound buffer between.
yeah,
those.
it's a it's pretty well
Neighbor.
open.
Mhm. Like a war zone.
All right, so we're off to Fields Farm now, I believe.
I think that's gonna be the Wasserman one.
Well, Wasserman also includes the restriction of hunting. Let me bring them both up. Can you see it? There is no deed restriction on hunting in Fields Farm.
So it does say for public park purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And Parks and Rec property prohibits hunting? Is that what you're saying, Cindy?
Mm-hmm.
It prohibits the discharge of,
Firearms, which
Right.
would prevent hunting.
well, it doesn't prevent archery. Unless, we have to look at the language again, okay? So the question is do we want to add hunting to a property that doesn't have it in the deed restriction?
I'm inclined to say no, if it's not in their deed restriction.
That seemed to be the legal opinion too, right?
Yep.
Although we're going against legal opinion with the no target shooting, so.
Is the property large enough for hunting without issue?
Yeah, it's 80 acres. There's plenty of, if you were to draw the 300-foot line from all the buildings, all the residences that are restricted, yeah, there's plenty of room.
I've never seen more than maybe 2 trucks in the height of deer season hunting that property though at once.
Yep.
So it's about all it can take, a couple
Right.
people.
once we start putting trails in there, there's gonna be a lot more walkers and hikers.
Yeah.
It'd be
Yeah.
nice to have another location for people that don't wanna be someplace where guns are going off to go. But, I mean, our largest properties, you know, Horse Hill's right down the street, 563 acres. Greater Woods is 500+ acres. Can they go to Horse Hill?
You bring up an interesting point as far as the trails. I don't believe have been planned yet, correct me if I'm wrong, but in Fish and Game rules, there are setbacks from hunting from distance from trail. So if you created those trails in a certain way, there would be no place left to hunt from by law.
Yeah. I like that little caveat.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't stop people from breaking the law, but we can ask people to follow the law.
Sure.
Right? So I don't think we should react to situations we have no control over anyways.
No, and I think as a default, to answer your original question, I think you probably have to lump it in with hunting permitted, at least for now.
It's up to the commission if they want to take that discussion on. That's all.
So does that mean we're gonna start allowing hunting in Wildcat?
No.
Let's see when we get there, right?
To be clear, I'm not advocating for the hunting. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Oh, no, I know.
So this is gonna be an all?
No one has said otherwise.
Well, they did, it's just no one listened.
It's not true.
I shouldn't say the majority hasn't said otherwise.
Thank you.
Okay?
That's
Yeah,
better.
all right, okay. All right, where is this one exactly?
It's that little sliver that runs up to Greater Woods
Yep,
from Wilson Hill Road.
from Wilson Hill Road,
So
right.
one of the two, the larger of the two. I think this would be an all.
4B 116.
I think that should be be the same as Greater Woods.
I mean, we haven't got to Greater Woods yet, but I think we can assume that will be an all, right?
All right, so that's a Greater Woods.
All.
Doesn't the homestead parcel have
It does.
it's got a different deed requirement on it? the homestead parcel?
Until it was transferred. As soon as it transferred, that deed thing went away, and when it's no longer owned by a member of the greater family.
Right.
It's not owned by a member of the greater family anymore.
Oh.
They sold it. It's been like that for, 4 or 5 years now, right?
Oh, it's been all of that.
So, we can go back and take a look at it if you want. Do we recall which one it is?
The homestead parcel, it's gotta be, it's the one over by Amherst.
Well, you want to go take a quick look at it, just so we don't skip it? Be thorough? All right. I don't know if that shows up on the screen very well or not, but. So which one's the homestead property?
I thought
Here? Or here? Or it could be both of them, right?
that was both of them. That was both chunks of it. 'Cause isn't that the one that stuck out into the?
So that's 5A6 and 5A7. Okay.
That's,
No, that's not it.
that's not it.
It's not
No.
it? This one, right?
No,
That
it's-
one's owned by
It's owned by the
No.
vendors. It's owned by the vendors.
Yeah, but they didn't own it originally. It was a greater family one, wasn't it?
Well, I was thinking about the one we bought.
I think it's
But
the one
we-
behind it.
We bought
Oh, I
the
see.
old, we bought the homestead parcel.
Well, we bought that one, right? 5A6, right?
And so,
file is. Oh, no, okay. So we're gonna have to, yeah, we have to go through all the pages. It's not that one. Well, this is the old deed, sorry, right? I clicked on the wrong one. That's the previous deed, right?
Yeah, we're looking for one that ends
Is
in
that-
'09.
Is that one of the ones that I need to look up?
No, I just clicked on the wrong one.
Okay.
I think we picked the wrong, yeah, it's not this parcel. These are just the signatures now. Yeah, it's not that one. Or did I miss it in the beginning? No, conveyance of payment. No. So, let's go back to the screen. Which parcel do we think it is?
It's possible that it's that large one that's behind the.
5A5?
Can you look at the sales information from the, GIS? That's gonna be last 10 years, so, there you go.
Were you, sorry, did you see what you wanted to see there?
I'm just trying to think, sale date, because it was cool when we walked up there.
Don't see it there. Sorry if I'm going too fast. Nope, it's not this parcel either.
Now, what are you looking for? What's gonna tip you off?
One of the deeds says that we had to maintain a protective no hunting area around on part of the property, and we had to put signs up that indicated no hunting. Now, I don't believe we ever followed through and did that, unless Andy did it. I don't recall us ever going out there and maintaining it, but I thought the restriction only lasted for the life till they owned it for a while, till it was owned by a member of the family or something along that line. Let me just take an action to go find it, and we'll bring it up at the next meeting. Okay?
Until then, should we deem all?
I believe we should just treat them all as all
Okay.
and go from there, and then, but I will take an action to find it, okay?
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah. All right, so this is another part, restricted part. Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
It is 5A5. I must have missed it, okay. It's just my own notes.
No, I know, I'm just trying to, I can't.
Is it too dark?
Yeah, I can't read it from here.
All right, I'll take an action to go find the language and we'll recategorize if we have to, all right? So we don't get all here digging through, okay? Another Greater Woods?
We're just gonna make all Greater Woods alls, right?
Yeah, why don't we just leave major property and all to mean the same thing for right now? And I won't update them, I won't update them live in front of all of you. You don't need to watch me type. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, so another Greater Woods. Another Greater Woods. Another Greater Woods. So this is Conservation Drive. So this is also another Greater Woods.
Yep.
Right? Another Greater Woods, another Greater Woods, another Greater Woods. Now we're back out to Wilson Hill Road. So this is one that abuts Greater Woods, but it's not considered part of Greater Woods.
Is this the really wet one?
Well, this is a little sliver of land that's along the Amherst border that we got by tax deed.
Oh, that little bump out?
5A66. You want me to bring it up? Whoops.
That's one of those little,
It's not that one.
it's one of these guys, isn't it?
This one right here.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely should be part of Greater Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All.
Yeah.
What's the one below it? Is that the piece Amherst owns?
Yeah.
Yep.
So hopefully it will be ours. Yeah.
All right, so we're treating that like a major property, which means all. Another South Greater Road. This is also Greater Woods, Greater Woods. Marty Drive. So there is an access point on Marty Drive that takes you into Greater Woods over by the school, on the other side of the Beaver Meadow. So,
It's pretty wet.
oh yeah, that's why it never got built.
Yeah.
That's why it ended up being ours.
It's
So,
dumped on plenty.
sure it does. So now we'll put some teeth to the no dumping
Yep.
on that parcel.
So in that South Greater Road one, where it says a number of conservation and use restrictions?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean, like no dumping use?
No,
Or
that's,
what does that mean?
that one has a modern conservation deed on it, like we've been doing on like we did on a whole bunch of properties. So that means, it really does get into, you can't disturb things, you can't put up buildings,
Oh,
you can't
okay.
erect towers, no cell phone towers, all that stuff
Oh,
can't be done on it. Okay, so. All right, so that's Marty Drive. Whoops. So now we get to Wasserman. So I take it this stays the major property plus Wasserman?
Yes.
All right, and then we have the island. We have Blueberry Island. Major property plus Wasserman.
Yes.
Now, understand, that means we're now saying no hunting on a parcel that doesn't have it in the deed.
I don't think you want to advertise or allow hunting in the middle of Natticook Lake on a very small parcel.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I don't think you can because Blueberry Island is within 300 feet of a home right on Veterans Park there. The house right on the point there.
It juts out quite a bit.
Yeah, could be close.
Yeah, pretty close.
It's close. Yeah, you might get the other side of the island that looks over at Wasserman Park. You can sit there defiant. I'll get my duck. I will. All right, so then we get to the parcels that we own, that we bought, that we have, that we treat as Wasserman Conservation Area, but they're actually our parcels.
And that's
You know what I'm talking about?
Greens Pond Road.
Greens Pond Road.
Yes.
Right, yep. I think we want to treat them all like Wasserman.
I would
Okay.
agree.
Just be prepared that it's not in the deed.
So at this point, the big differentiator is it's all minus hunting is effectively Wasserman?
Yeah, I believe so. Let's go take a look at it. Yeah, because, Wasserman also has no snowmobiles.
No snowmobiles, okay.
That's gonna cause a problem. So what do we do during the winter carnival? We just say there's a,
Well, it's been marked no snowmobiles.
Yep.
And they just drive right by them.
yeah, because it's our sign. If it's in chapter 111, it's a little different now. That's what we're saying. So, I mean, do we, if it's gonna go in chapter 111, that mean that the winter carnival has to go to the town council to request an exemption for the day of the winter carnival, the days of the winter carnival to provide snowmobile rides?
Are they in Wasserman though, or are they just going around in the,
They go around anywhere they can.
okay.
Yeah, they do know better, though.
Well, the Wasserman Park, that's under Parks and Rec. Do they allow snowmobiles?
Yep, they do.
Hmm.
So we can't change it for Wasserman Conservation Area no matter what. It's in the deed,
Right.
right? It's just the other parcels that abut it that we own as well. Do we want to keep the same rules on all the properties that are contiguous and fully connected? It would seem to me that we would want to,
Kind of makes sense.
It's a lot easier.
right? Makes it a lot easier to manage,
Mhm.
okay?
Makes it a lot easier to enforce, because every time you catch someone doing something wrong, like, oh, I didn't know I was on this parcel, I thought it was, it's like, oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like, You'd have to mark them
Mhm.
It's a mark
every
'em like
50
crazy.
feet. Every 50 feet, you have to put up signs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So,
And now we're putting trash in the woods.
yep, that's right. And we're not trashing our own woods if we do that.
So don't go to the deed to look. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
When they left the deed and they said no hunting and trapping, did they say fishing is okay though? Did they specify fishing is okay or?
I don't recall.
Don't go look, but
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
So you're talking about standing on shore fishing.
right.
Yeah, because once you get out in the water,
It's different.
it's different.
yeah, the state owns the water.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Yeah, I can't say that I've seen many people standing on shore. Usually they go out in the boats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but when it comes to Natticook Lake, a lot of people fish from shore.
Do they?
Oh, yeah, yeah, see it all the time.
Okay. Oh, on the docks. I've seen them on the docks.
Well, on the docks they do, yeah. After people are pretty much done swimming, they also, from the boat launches, they'll fish. And my grandson and daughter have caught many a sunny and a bass right from that boat launch
Yeah.
in Veterans Park. So, of course, my son prefers go out in the boat. Grandson, I mean, prefers going in the boat, but Grandpa didn't always take the boat out. Yeah, bad Grandpa. Grandpa has to take care of the boat too. Once grandson wants to take care of the boat, maybe it's a different story.
They won't take care of it like you want.
That's right. Well, you should see it now. It's in pretty bad shape right now. It's been ignored for a few years. Yeah, it's okay. It's not a priority right now. All right, so we're gonna stay with the way we have it then, right? Okay, so now we get to the part of Greater Woods that is the school easement.
Yeah, so you have to leave it like that, so there's no hunting.
There's no hunting and there's no motorized.
Yeah, I mean,
We're saying there's no motorized now on the rest of it, but.
right. I mean, technically, you would be able to ride a snowmobile on there if, in the deed, would you be able to ride a snowmobile on that part?
I would have to go back and look what's in the easement language.
We've been asked to groom it before. That doesn't mean it was legal.
Okay,
We've been asked to groom it.
okay. You don't have to go back and look.
Okay. All right, here we are.
We've left some caveats in the rules for allowing machines to go out there as maintenance vehicles,
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, so in our own conservation easements, we allow motorized access for conservation purposes.
okay.
It's all there, so. So now we're at Wildcat Falls.
Can you lighten that box up?
Yeah. Yeah, I can. I guess I'll do them both. How would I? Whoops, sorry to. So there are no deed restrictions to speak of. It just says it's for park or recreation purposes. This is one that also has currently hour of day restrictions. You want to maintain that?
I think we should, yes.
This is the middle school access to Greater Woods, that lot and,
No. We're talking about Wildcat Falls now.
oh, I know, you're down Wildcat.
I'm not, sorry, I'm not.
Yeah, we're at this one now.
Yeah, I think if there's any that needs an hours restriction, it's probably that one.
Is that what we want? Okay. We'll have plenty of time to readdress these, so I'll send this out to everybody, I'll email it, and you can all, after I fix the majors and alls and all that stuff, and then we can always look at them again. All right, now we're looking at the parcel on Continental Boulevard, which is just behind Pennachuck Square. It's that deed restricted area. Do we want to treat it as all, or do we want to just do nothing? You can see my suggestion was to not even include it in the ordinance. There's probably no harm in.
You can't really even access that, can you? I mean, it's so wet.
You-
Can they access it through that gate on Continental Boulevard? I see a lot of the hunters park over there and go in.
Yeah, our parcel really doesn't go as far as that gate, but you can get to it from the abutting parcel. Or you can put in the water and you can kayak up to it or whatever from the other side, so.
Is that the parcel that the pipeline was proposed to go through?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, when the pipeline got redirected, that was gonna go through there too, potentially. Yeah. Which is why we spent all that one of the reasons why we spent all that money with Jeff, to have him take a good analysis of what's in there. So,
Now, what would be the benefit of having none?
the benefit? I don't know. I mean, right now, it's not a problem, so.
So if we put it under all.
Yep.
we'd be saying, you can't go in there with a motorized vehicle.
Yep.
You can't dump,
Can't take.
you can't remove brush and bushes and things.
Yep.
So there's no downside to having all on that.
I would agree with that.
I think we should have it included.
That's
Just so
fine.
people
Yep.
can't say, well, you put no restriction on it, that means I can dump here.
All right, so now we're getting into a couple of parcels that used to contain Old Kings Highway.
That club can do.
Yes, they do. Shouldn't say used to, they do.
They still do. They've just been allowed to be built on.
Wow, that's some substantial property.
Yeah, there's like 11 acres
11
altogether.
acres.
But these are long slivers. So 2B 365, let me bring it up for you. Oops, that made it too small, didn't it?
No, that's good, that's good.
Is it?
Yeah, that's cool, yeah.
Okay. All right, so this is Dahl Road. This is where it used to end, but now it goes in, this is Home Depot. Right? Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Or is Home Depot here?
No,
That's Natticook.
It's Continental Boulevard, sorry. Continental Boulevard, sorry, yeah, sorry.
That's Eric Street.
Yeah. So, yeah, so Home Depot was over here somewhere. Okay, so it's just this little sliver, and then the other one is on the other side. So, it's all basically back lots.
Surrounded.
And Severn's Bridge is the street on the west most.
This is Severance Bridge.
Okay.
Severn's Bridge is right there, yeah.
It goes up, and then goes, that's Coles Rock Road that goes all the way up to the end.
So if there's no restrictions on those properties, what would stop
Where's that parcel that's subdivided?
those people, those lots from just like
I'm
taking?
not sure, it's,
There was a,
Yeah,
right,
really.
there's a bigger one in there, yeah, this is,
there was a parcel that went from Coles Rock Road all the way up to Dahl Road, and it was subdivided, it came before us a couple of years ago when they subdivided it. And that's the one that they said they moved Old Kings Highway.
That's the continuation property.
Yeah.
So there was 1, 2, if you looked at one that was possibly the third, that's the one you're talking about. And they've got it subdivided and for sale right now. See the one big house on it?
It's this one.
Yeah.
It was this one that they subdivided,
yeah,
these two.
okay, right now we're talking about these
Yeah.
two parcels.
Right, I say, but that was the path of Old Kings Highway, was right through there.
Right through there, yeah.
But what's to stop all those houses surrounding it from just encroaching and taking over that?
Well, I'm sure they have,
Yeah.
right?
There's a maintained trail through there.
There's a
Yeah.
trail through there.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good bridge. This is a great view, this is a great area and a big view up there. It's really
Mhm.
nice.
Yep.
I think that we should
That's
call it
correct,
major
yeah.
property plus
House.
Wasserman. Because there'd be no reason to allow hunting. And we should restrict motorized and removal of our plant species.
How would you even access that? Is it landlocked, or is there a way in from the other side?
It's off of the road.
Old
Yeah.
Kings Highway is public property,
Yeah, but there's a house at the end of that.
and they're not allowed to block Old Kings Highway.
There's a house there,
They're
Yeah.
not allowed to block it.
but they're blocking it.
I know.
There are other places along what is considered Old Kings Highway, that they've actually put fences
Yeah.
across. What what you're thinking of, they're not impeding the trail.
So you can just walk right through their yard and say,
Yeah.
this is Old Kings Highway?
Yep.
And they'll
There-
say, but this is my yard, and we'll say, but it was Old Kings Highway first?
Well, there's a trail in
more
their
like
yard.
woods.
that
Oh,
they're,
okay,
I'm sure, very aware of.
okay.
Think of like a rail trail.
Okay,
Picture
I'm not that
picture
kind of girl, though.
so we're now
You
down to
walk through your
Leatherleaf
yard.
Bog.
Can I see that lot, what it looks like?
Leatherleaf Bog?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we were on Milligan Way, Milligan Park.
Yeah, this one right here. This
Yeah,
is,
Leatherleaf.
it's called Leatherleaf Bog.
Almost
Oh,
36
all right.
acres.
You want, I'll bring it up. Whoops. Continental, here we go. That's the highway, right? It's right here.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's,
Right.
Right?
Right now, it's got a bunch of trees and it's got a fence all around most of it. And no one ever thinks that they can go in it. That's what it is.
And we currently have that listed as major property?
Nothing.
I put nothing, you tell me what would you like on it. You know, these majors plus, okay, I'll leave it alone, sorry. You
All?
can do that. All right, now we're looking at Riverside Drive. Do you, any of you, this is in chapter 111 right now. It means it has hours restrictions, it has the discharge restrictions, all that's in chapter 111
It's
right
right in the
now.
neighborhood, so I think it should stay that way with the hours restrictions.
With the hours restrictions too,
It's
right?
right in the neighborhood.
It is, yeah.
Is that where all the bases are?
Nope,
Yeah.
that's Brookside.
That's one of the areas that's right in that area, yeah. We got a lot of, that whole,
It's over by Davidson, Riverside, and
Correct, yep, Davidson, yep, Riverside Drive, yep. So,
A lot of wildlife
There it
in
is.
there.
so this is the parcel we're talking about, right here.
So you'd have to park on a public street
Yeah,
and access it through between houses. I mean, it's.
yeah, this one,
There's a
this
couple of paths
access
there.
is hard, but this one here has got a trail that goes in because MVD has done some well searching down in here, so they opened it up a little bit. And ended up deciding not to put a well there, but
What makes the other one difficult? Steep?
just, it's grown in.
it's overgrown, yeah.
Yeah, unless you know exactly where you're going, you might end up on someone's property.
Are there any clear trails in there?
Yep, yep, from, on this side where my cursor is, there's some trails and access, and I'm sure the neighborhood kids either used to or will when the new ones come in,
High
go
school
down
kids use
fishing
it.
and whatever
It
else.
goes right to
Yeah.
the river.
Ask your daughter how to get there. I bet she knows.
Who?
Your daughter knows.
Oh, who?
I bet your daughter knows.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a long story.
It's a funny shaped person.
I grew up
It
playing
is.
back then.
I was really surprised mine did.
Yeah, when you blow it up, you actually get frontage on the road, it's not actually a point.
Oh,
You-
it's just 'cause
you-
it's so
It's
small.
not, it's so
Oh.
small, but
Yeah.
it's,
Okay.
you have to go between, I mean,
Looks funny.
Yeah.
it's narrow enough that people mow right up to it. You know, they kind of mow over, you know.
Oh,
Yeah,
yep.
so it's kind of,
Okay.
See if I
so
make it,
obviously you wanna make it an
Oh,
all.
I see. So it's not quite as, yeah.
yeah.
see,
I think it should be an all on time restriction. Yeah, it does.
All in hours?
All in hours, yeah. Or a river and brook in hours.
I
Yeah,
think
which
we were
is-
gonna wipe that out, weren't we?
but River and Brook is still, is still all,
Oh, okay.
right?
So hunting in there allowed now? Around those
Nope.
houses?
Nope,
So wouldn't it have to be Wasserman?
If we want to maintain the current restrictions, you'll have to make it a Wasserman style as well.
Wasserman and ours?
Yep.
And let's make it Wasserman.
Okay. Wouldwould Road.
It's in the cinemas, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's down, it's towards the dump, sorry, the transfer station. 6A85, still the dump.
I still call it
Yeah, dumb.
Actually, when I was growing up, it wasn't the dump for a while.
It wasn't?
No, we had a dump. Our dump used to be just over there. Yep, used to be down past Twin Bridge. Yep, a longer dump.
August pit.
Yep. Well, the sand pit is one thing. On the other side, further down was the dump. So,
That's tucked up next against the river.
yeah, of course.
Of course, yeah.
That's how you always do it back in the 50s and 60s, right? You just tuck it right in. All right. Sorry, what parcel was I going after?
Woodward.
Yeah, I know. I got to get the parcel ID. 6A85. Just take me there. So this is just a little piece of something.
Wetland,
Yeah.
Well,
very close.
the wetland is across the street, but some of it does kind of come through. So the thing is we also own this wetland, which we also have, I think is in chapter 111. So the question is, do we want chapter 111 on, basically we want restrictions on both sides of the road?
Would make sense.
Kind of would,
Yeah.
but because I believe that one is Town of Merrill. Yeah, it's Hitchin Post Lane. Yeah.
Oh, next one down.
Next one down. So,
All for both of them.
yeah. Or,
Same thing as River Brook, I guess.
it is, sorry. And then continue. Now, these two are also in chapter 111, which means they have hours restrictions on them.
People really, people really go in there?
I've never heard of a complaint in there.
Never.
So I was thinking we would just,
Is that across the street from Steeplechase or Hitch House?
that's what these both are,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're right.
Abuts the
Long, skinny.
landfill?
The no, the on this map, where's the landfill? The landfill is up here somewhere, over here, on this picture. Because if you were going to the landfill, you'd actually go out into you'd go out
Okay.
into Bedford and then swing back in again.
So where is this lot?
So this is Wouldwould Road.
Yeah.
That's Parkhurst. You know where Parkhurst is? Right, you want me to make it smaller, you can see it all, but Parkhurst comes off of Babusick Lake Road, which is way over here. Woodward ends up out on Bean Road, okay? And it's this parcel here. We actually own a bunch of them. This is another one of ours, goes across the street. We own, they're basically all these back lots, okay?
But they're just river water, they're just like swampy.
Swampy, messy, yeah, yeah. So, I think, is that one ours too? Yeah. Oh, that's the landfill on the on one side. So. So,
I would think all of those back lots would just be an all, so that no dumping.
yeah,
I don't
This
know
is-
why that wouldn't just be the default for nearly all of them unless you have a reason to make them more restrictive than all.
yeah, I would tend to agree.
And then I think the only restrictions you've said there are that are more restrictive are either snowmobiles or hunting.
Yeah, that's about it, right? Snowmobiles and hunting, yeah.
Motorized vehicles in general.
But those
Well,
two
right now
things
we've
don't
already-
have to be paired
Right.
necessarily.
I'm sorry, sorry. Snowmobiles, hunting, and hours, the three.
I thought they were
Hours,
talking
yeah.
about what's in the deeds.
Oh,
So,
Right, that is another restriction, hours.
so what we're getting into is a whole bunch of the wetland complexes around Babusick Brook and around, in that area. So that's why I listed them all as river and brook, which for right now is all, it's the same thing, okay? Do you want me to show you all of these, or not?
No, that's
No.
good.
So then we get all the Brookside Drives.
again, we don't really have a lot of issues, I don't think, with people going in there.
No, just dumping.
Yeah,
Put
just
their
dumping.
yard
So I'm
waste.
I'm saying, I'm not concerned about the time restrictions on those.
Invasives,
Yeah.
having
we
to
have-
deal with the spraying and alerting people that have bees. There have been things that we've dealt with.
Yeah, but
on
I'm saying, I don't think we
this.
have people going in there
For
after
code
hours.
enforcement issues, right.
They're not, they're skinny, I mean, they're skinny little.
They're not
monkey
recreating
bars.
there.
No,
Right.
it's more what the land butters
Yeah,
are doing.
That's all it is, probably. It's just a continuation of their own lot, the way they see it.
All right. So now we're getting over by the Merrimack River. So these are either islands or small slivers of land along the Merrimack River, similar in nature to Sklar property. This happens to be over by your neighborhood. So, you want me to highlight these on the map?
Feel like
They're behind the homestead along the river.
The big apartments that are getting built out there,
Mm-hmm.
like the Matt's new neighbors.
We ever figure out that property that's up by, what is that? The one that's off Front Street.
That would be this too.
There was a property that we couldn't find the deed for.
Right, yeah, I'm not sure that,
The old boat ramp.
No.
No,
It's the one behind Tractor Supply.
Where is it?
It's behind Tractor Supply.
down by the well.
With the utilities.
Yes, is that
sandy pits
MPD?
and stuff.
Hmm?
Isn't that all MPD property down there?
I don't know, we can't find the deed.
The GIS system is running really
Updating.
fast, yeah.
You're getting a scenic tour of all of our properties, Eric.
I know, that's good. He's a good driver.
There's the island.
Our islands, yes, we own these two islands. These are
One-
also,
And the one that's north as well.
yeah,
that
we
one.
own this one, yeah. Yeah, that's Matt's private island. So, one of these is 6E4, I forget one that's 6E6, okay. So basically what we're talking about is a number of parcels that are right along the Merrimack River and then the islands, and we own various parcels right along the river as well, and then these guys here, all leading us to, down through, we own that one? No, Longa's own that one. Ah, that's the one with the old,
Homeless camp.
no, the dump. That's the old dump. So, and then it takes us all the way to the Anheuser-Busch and all that other
Sklar.
stuff. Sklar and all that, yeah. So that's what we're talking about for parcels through here.
So river and brook, I think, would be a good,
Well, currently that's all.
Current, yeah, it's the same as all. Yeah. So it's,
Can you snowmobile or hunt at any of these Merrimack riverfront properties?
technically under all, you could.
Right, that's,
We see people hunting down there.
a lot of people hunt down there because they're
Yeah.
standing on the shore duck hunting with blinds. There's a lot of blinds built back there.
so, major plus Wasserman?
I don't know, do we want to restrict? You want to restrict that?
Just throwing Cindy about. All, I guess, right?
All right, so. So here is the town property, next to Sklar.
We can't deem that anything.
Here's
don't-
Sklar, that's Sklar, and here's the one next to it.
We present it to the town, yes, right?
Hey, we'd like to add some restrictions to your property.
Oh, we're doing that all over the place. We don't own all the ones we've had in this list.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we only own about 20% of them.
Right,
The rest of
okay.
them are
We
town.
have a,
That we,
we have a conservation
Wildcat.
easement on that property, don't we?
on the town one,
Yeah.
no, the grantors have an easement on it in order to be able to, be able to walk it and to allow public access. So, in fact, it has an easement to allow the Heritage Trail that never really came to fruition.
And we can't say no motorized vehicles because it's a boat launch.
That's true.
So you have to be able to drive on that road unless you can
Right.
restrict it to the road.
Yeah, that's a good point. Except in designated places.
Okay.
So is this a new category?
Well, Scholar should be Wasserman. Major property plus Wasserman.
Has anything happened with the new boat landing?
Yeah, you're probably right.
We looked at one.
Oh, down by the treatment plant?
Yeah, the new boat landing that Kyle wanted to put in? Get rid of this one?
So, sorry, so back to the town-owned lot, the boat launch. We can't really do major property or else you're not gonna be able to drive on the road.
We need to allow that.
Yep,
Yeah.
so,
None?
well, we can put an exception in for this property, right? Say this property does have a public access and boat launch for the,
There's no no off-road motorized vehicles. Or no use of motorized vehicles off-road.
yeah.
Does that road have a name?
I don't know.
Griffin Street.
It's not really, not even on Griffin Street completely.
Griffin Street extension.
It's close.
Oh, yeah, if it butts Scholar, you would think you'd want them both to be the same.
You would, but we can't.
I mean, except for that.
Right. All right, well, we'll have to create some interesting language for that, so. All right, so this is gonna be. We'll go from there.
So we're gonna have to do clear signs marking Scholar property.
Or just
Versus-
put rocks up everywhere we don't want people to go, right? That's what we've been doing. Okay, we've been
Well, I
putting,
mean, 'cause you can't hunt on Scholar, but you can hunt on that one.
that's true.
So it's gonna get confusing.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna have to mark off Sklar and say, okay, no hunting.
Either that or we propose to the town that we manage those parcels as one.
Mhm.
It's true.
And say no hunting on it, because that's one of the ideas that we had initially for that parcel, was to
Mhm.
kind of incorporate them together and use them as a little bit more of a park, because
Yeah.
it's only, 30 acres, it's a little, I know that sounds big, but that's a little small for us to manage. There's not really a whole lot there for us to do. that to be more of a parcel that should be managed by Parks and Rec.
Okay. So here's an island. And now we've got, all right, we own a 1 acre parcel on the Sauhegan River near the high school.
1 acre.
Yep, yep.
Square 1 acre parcel.
Yeah, we bought it off of one of the members of the large Patterson family. We bought it a while ago. There are no restrictions in the deed. We left it wide open because we basically bought it so that because it was the only private parcel along the town loop trail. So we bought it for a very reasonable price to ensure that we could have the town loop trail.
So is that one of the trails that leads close to Wildcat?
Yeah, it leads up to
Okay.
Wildcat. Yeah, from the fire station to Wildcat.
Okay.
If we ever complete that little area and we go down under the Chamberlain Bridge to Watson Park, we insured access by buying the one private parcel.
Because now no one, the butters cannot restrict us from getting to our parcel.
Okay, so when the highway does its thing, if they choose to deed over any land to Wildcat, are we going to make that land hunting restricted?
We can figure all that out when that day comes.
All right.
I
'Cause-
know that, I think, Tim, you helped me out with this, we discussed it, easement near the Marauders Bridge, I think we talked about when they've allowed us the access and,
Under the bridge, yeah.
yeah, and the town manager, we've brought that up to the DOT to keep it on their plate to allow it to either formalize it or continue to allow us to use it, so, after they can finish the widening and stuff, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that pedestrian bridge is technically on DOT land, so. All right, now we're looking at a well property. So this is a parcel that makes up what we call Mitchell Woods.
Really think it's off of Dick Drive? That's off of,
That's what the town reports. I didn't put that in there. The town's description is Dick Drive.
the next one over. That's what it's called there,
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just,
Yeah,
it's
no, it's-
the data, that's the dump out of the assessing database, so. All right, this. So this is Watkins Forest. So, we should treat it like well properties, we think?
I would agree.
That's what you were saying. Future plan, right?
I would think we'd have to.
Yep. Okay, we haven't really, well, we do have some rules around well property.
Isn't the Mitchell Woods section managed by the trustees of the trust fund?
Now, here's Mitchell Woods, that's ours. This
Oh,
is,
There's a couple parcels over there.
right, this is, yeah, there's these three right in a row. These three all make up that area.
And the one we just added to it, that we were gonna add to Mitchell Woods.
Which is just above Mitchell Woods, yeah, I'm sorry. Yep.
Oh, I'm thinking of the one down the street there, aren't I? Trustees of, no, it's the school owns that one. Going down at South Wabusick and,
Yep, the school owns that one.
this is the trustees of the trust fund manages for the wood lot.
Correct, right. Well, this is the one, now, here, let's make it clear. Did this ever come back? Oh, look at that.
And they were,
Yep. So this is the parcel we're talking about right now. So this is Mitchell Woods coming in. We own this parcel, and we own this parcel. And the town owns this, well, the trustees of the trust fund manage this one. We recently acquired this one. No, we have an easement over this one. We own this one now. So this is owned by the Penrods. So at some point, we probably should talk to the Penrods, but that's a separate story. So,
Who owns that? Go down a little bit.
this one,
No, over, just a little bit more over.
this
yeah.
one,
Who owns that? That's us, right?
nope, that's a private parcel that someone's interested in maybe.
No.
So, no, that's a private parcel. So what we've already what we've gone by is this one, and now we're looking at this one. And the intent is to put the well somewhere around here, I believe. And the well restricted area would go right through this parcel. So therefore, we should treat it like a well property, along with
All of those. Except well restriction radius is gonna go through the private parcel too. Reach over that far?
well, it will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not, as far as I can tell, they haven't negotiated that easement yet. They've only done it with the town, okay? So that's what these are all about, okay? Except you get to the last one, and this is the one on Front Street, which is down behind Tractor Supply. So, yeah, I think I know what the deed is, but I'm not quite sure. So, we've
All
got,
right, I think that's on my list to look for, isn't it?
well, or is that an action that I still have for Diane Trippett?
Might be.
So, all right,
That property has a serious amount of motor
Yeah,
activity.
Yep.
it's on my list.
yeah, okay.
We're calling that well property.
Yeah, we'll have to, we'll certainly, that one will end up having to be signed or something's gonna have to happen. But, I mean, yeah,
That's the Wild West.
yep,
Yeah, it's, yeah.
so that's it. So, what I'll do is I will complete the update of this Excel spreadsheet and send that out, and then also I'll take this Word document that we've been tinkering with alls and all that stuff, and try to make it clean and go back to a nice one for us to take a look at our next meeting. So, next meeting is 2 weeks, isn't it? Oh, all right. I'll have some work to do.
Thank you very much for all your work. It's
Yeah.
a lot of work to get all that stuff together and all those.
No,
The next
I didn't do
meeting's
the
on
deed
the
work.
19th.
That young lady over there who helped take care of a lot of that.
Thank you, Gina.
Hmm?
Yeah,
Thank
Oh,
you.
I haven't jumped into
the next
my
meeting's on the
part yet.
19th, yeah.
I have to have it done by the 15th.
I'd like to keep it going, so.
No, you have done work on pulling all the deeds.
Have done.
Yes.
Is there anything else we want to cover for chapter 111 until next time?
I don't think so. I think our next goal is to just make sure we're good with everything we've done so we can prepare for a public hearing in probably September now. So,
Well, I need to get everything to you by August 15th.
Right.
For you to look forward.
right, before we have our next meeting,
Right.
right?
Okay.
So,
All right, great. That moves us to other business. Discussion on communications or correspondence. The one thing I received was a request for another bike demo at Horse Hill. And that is August 31st. Be very similar to the last one, 10 to 2. They would sign and unsign and post the parking lot.
Were they gonna do some work in the property in exchange too again?
I didn't bring that up to them, but if, we still have the
Request.
the request into DPW for the material.
Yep.
You know, we could probably have both the bike shops work the same, you know, material and get it to where we need it. That would be very helpful, I'm sure, to the subcommittee and us to get that project done. So,
Oh, I'll follow up with the DPW with that.
Now, what material are you talking about?
so
Crushed stone.
crushed stone,
How long has it been since we've requested it?
Not that long.
Excuse me?
Matt brought it up a while ago, I didn't do it, and I've just talked to her recently about it, so.
Alright, so you're just gonna shoot somebody a reminder, just,
No, we don't need the big guns yet.
I don't know about that, but,
yeah, I think that's a great, you know, suggestion, is to have anybody that uses our property for something like that, they should be.
Makes sense. Invest a little back in.
I know the shop that did the first one, they marked a loop and they trimmed the loop very well the day before.
Yep.
So that was very helpful.
It's kinda like arm funding. Yeah.
I can send out an email to the subcommittee just to make sure there's not something on that date that I'm forgetting, but I don't believe we have anything on that date, so should be okay. I'll let you know.
Do we need a vote on this, or is this a consensus item?
We've always treated that as just a
Yeah.
notification,
Mhm.
particularly where it's a not-for-profit.
Great, I will let them know that I see no problems with their demo, as long as they post it and hang and remove the loop signs. Subcommittee updates.
Before we do subcommittee updates, I had sent you Engage an email earlier about the Eagle Scout. Do you want to discuss this here, or do you just want to approve that? I sent you a note.
Oh,
Is that okay?
I didn't realize that only went out to two, I just thought that went out to everybody.
No, I just sent it to the two of you.
I think we read it and vote on it.
I can read it right now if you want me to, or,
That would be great.
okay.
Just so everyone has a little background.
So a little background, we received a request from Anita Krieger, asking for the Merrimack Conservation Commission to speak at an Eagle Scout's upcoming Court of Honor. The Eagle Scout is Harrison Faust, and we didn't work with him on his project. His project was at Veterans Park, and the project was a memorial for Admiral Forrest Sherman. And I brought that up to Anita, and she said she understood that, but they were still interested in us speaking on his behalf. So
His father, the scout's father, has been before us a couple times with scout projects and stuff, and it's an active group, active pack, so that's why
Okay.
we decided we might be worthwhile to chime
No,
in.
and I'm happy to do it, I just, I'm not very familiar with him or his project, so, that's why I wanted to bounce it off you to make sure that this is okay. So I wrote up, the Merrimack Conservation Commission extends our appreciation and gratitude to Eagle Scout Harrison Faust for his contributions to our town, especially for Harrison's Eagle Scout project honoring Admiral Forrest Sherman at Veterans Park. We wish Eagle Scout Faust much success at the U.S. Naval Academy and in all of his future endeavors. Anyone want to add anything to that?
I was good with it.
That sounds great to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I promised Anita that I would get this to her by tomorrow morning, so I will do that and copy everyone.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you. And personally, I've worked shoulder to shoulder with Harrison on a number of Eagle Scout projects, so he even though this is at Memorial Veterans Park, he has worked in all of our properties.
Do you want me to add something to that effect?
No, I think what you said covers it, but he has worked in
Yep.
all of our properties.
Okay.
Jeannie, you wanna do Wildcat?
Yes, I would love to do Wildcat because I checked the Wildcat the Wildcat town page, and we're very much out of date. We still have Rebecca Breton listed on there, and we still have Tim listed as the ex officio, and we have Andrew's expiration date is 2017, so we need to update that. And I'm not sure, do I update that? Does the town update that? Does Cindy update that? How do we do that?
Well, right now, only Gage and I can update it.
You what?
Only Gage and I can
I didn't
update it
know
because we
Gage
have the
had access.
password.
Okay.
I'm not sure he remembers how you do it, though.
I know the password's written down.
So what we've done in the past is put the update together and email it to me, and I will copy and paste.
I will do that.
Okay.
But first, and I spoke to our 3 members that are remaining. Rebecca had left quite a while ago. Everyone is interested in continuing. So I'm looking to see where Cindy had done hers, because I'm going to copy yours. Where are we? This was from before.
That one always writes it up better than how I actually say stuff, so.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to renew the terms for full members of Wildcat Falls for Andrew Duane, and he would be fulfilling the role as secretary. For Karen Labonte, she would be, she is the chairperson. And for Elizabeth Petridis, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, all of us, and I, Gina Rosati, am the ex officio now. All of us would be full members. All of us would have expiration terms dated July 31st, 2022. And the commission would also like to thank Andrew and Elizabeth and Karen for their service and for volunteering. Thank you for that.
Second.
Well, are you a member or are you a?
Right, I guess technically
ex officio, yeah.
your ex officio only lasts for 1 year, but we didn't renew the ex officios at our last meeting, so we should probably handle them with a separate motion.
Okay,
Right.
So second.
so
oh, there's
Gage
a
is,
second,
Gage
I'm
is the
sorry.
second.
Did do it now.
So the motion was to approve with the amendment
motion-
of,
The motion is to approve Andrew Duane, Elizabeth Petridis, and Karen Labonte to extend their Wildcat Falls terms until July 31st, 2022.
discussion? All those in favor? All right, motion is approved, 700.
And then I'll have to make another motion for me to be approved as the ex officio for the year expiring July 31st, 2020.
Second?
All those in favor?
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. I'm gonna say, do you wanna adjust the motion to include Cindy for Horse Hill Nature Preserve and
Gage?
Gage for the Greater Woods?
Sure. So let me remake that motion. So I make a motion for Gina Rosati to be the ex officio for Wildcat Falls, for Cindy Glenn to be the ex officio for Horse Hill. And for Gage Perry to be the ex officio for Greater Woods, for the term to expire July 31st, 2020.
Second.
Does I'll do it. I have no problem taking on that, continuing that role. Does anyone else would like to do it? The ex officio, well, the ex officio.
Nobody's jumping.
It's the ex officio, the ex officio is not, it's not a huge time load. I mean, you go to the local meeting, and you're the conduit to reporting back up to this group, and vice versa.
Unless, of course, you'd rather have Horse Hill.
Oh, if he takes anything, it's gonna be Horse Hill, so don't even.
Would you like to do Horse Hill? You know Horse Hill well.
I know them both pretty well. I grew up next to Horse Hill.
I think Horse Hill would be a good fit for you.
She
I'm gonna
abuts Horse-
revise my motion.
Well, you have to find out if someone wants to do it.
She's going up. It's happening. It's really happening.
He wants to do it, I can tell. Look at the look on his face, he wants it.
I just want to help.
He wants to help.
So
All right,
I'll help where I'm needed. I think Gage would rather I help him, though.
I'm not gonna, the ex officio roles are
you wanna
available.
be an ex officio? You haven't been an ex officio yet, have you?
And we could change it at any time, right? It doesn't have to be
You can just quit.
on the annual.
You can just be a quitter.
That's a good point, though. An alternate can do that.
It-
The ex
yeah,
officio?
Yeah, I believe
Yes,
so, yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there's nothing restricted.
I was for Wildcat when I was still an alternate.
Yeah, it's a volunteer position, and you are a member of this, you're a member of the Conservation Commission, so it doesn't really have any restriction.
Yeah, I mean, wherever I'm needed more, I guess. I think that might be Cindy.
I will continue on, it's fine with me, or if you really wanna, if you really
Shall we
wanna.
try one more time?
I think so.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion for Gina Rosati to be the ex officio for Wildcat Falls, and Mike Swisher to be the ex officio for Horse Hill, and for Gage Perry to be the ex officio for Greater Woods. All of our terms would expire on July 31st, 2020.
I'll second. Discussion? All those in favor? Passes
You don't even
No, I can't even vote on that.
7-0-0. Wow, welcome aboard.
Thank you much.
You'll have to do the handoff.
Yeah.
You'll love it. It'll
I'm a
be
big
fun.
fan of Horse Hill. We're gonna have our meetings at midnight, though, 'cause
Yeah.
there's no
You're
hour
great.
restrictions.
You'll have to get authorization for that.
No?
Play the lottery.
All right. So Cindy, I guess I'll ask you for your last update on the Horse Hill Subcommittee.
Yes. Yes, we had a meeting last week. We talked about setting up the budget, because a lot of the bridges are getting old, and doing a walk of the property, so we can come up with like the 3-year plan, action plan. There's a garden, right by the road there, and it looks like some of the hostas have been like dug up, not just disappeared, but dug up.
Like Eaton, maybe?
No, like
dug out.
actually dug out,
Wow.
but
Not just split, I mean, it's not, Lynn's not splitting them up or anything.
no, she's the one that
She's a-
reported it.
okay.
Yeah, it looked like they'd been dug up. And that it looked like there was like some Roundup had been used by the sign. Yeah, and it wasn't the town that did it, so.
By what evidence? Like wilting? How can they tell what was used?
She's just guessing, I think she's just guessing Roundup because everything died right there.
I would guess dog urine right there.
Oh, you think dog urine would do it?
Decent guess.
Yeah, could be.
Get a lot of that.
That's true.
I mean, you can pretty much look at the pattern and tell if it's, spot location or if it's
Yeah.
broadcast.
Well, she said she sees it like every year. It looks like somebody comes and, I don't know why. And our next meeting, we had to change. It was supposed to be September 9th, and it's now going to be September 30th. And that's it.
You're gonna love it.
Nobody's watching.
Yeah, I can tell by Cindy I'm gonna love it.
You are. You're gonna love it. I love Wildcat Falls. updates.
Yeah, do you have any,
We have not since our last meeting, so.
Just to slip one more thing in for Wildcat Falls, Tuesday, August 13th is our next meeting at 6:30 here in the Memorial Room.
I suppose I can do that. I can give you the date of the next meeting, I suppose.
And I'll be happy to still update the calendar with all the meetings.
Thanks.
Yeah, our next meeting is not until, September 10th.
Oh, really? We don't have another meeting until September 10th?
No, the Greater Woods.
Greater
Oh,
Woods.
okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah, yeah, don't mark that down. We'll be like, where's Steve?
all right, thank you all for the updates. Now we're gonna move to the presentation of the minutes for July 15th. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the upcoming changes.
Second.
Gina, any changes?
I do. Hold on one second, Cindy. Okay, so on page. Let's see, on page 2, on line 7, Mr. Maynard stated that it did not. I'm gonna put a period after not, and then I'm gonna put a capital O for on the northern section, and then I'm gonna put a comma after section. Also on page 2, on line 30, change closet to closest. Also on page 2, on line 38, driveway will be graded, not driveway will be grade.
I was gonna get one this time.
What?
I was gonna get one this time.
Do you
That was the
want
one I
that?
found.
On page 3, on line 17, I'm not sure why there's a question mark after town. I would put a period. And then, if not, I would take the comma off of, it's right now, there's a comma after if. I would put if not, comma. And then, on line 27, also on page 3, instead of DES, I would put NHDES. All right, we seem to get into kind of a question about, on page 4. Matt was elected chair, but I would say for the sake of the meeting, that all through the rest of the meeting, Matt is still vice chair through that meeting. He doesn't become chair until this meeting. Would that be correct to assume?
Problem?
Okay, so on page 4, on line 18, we're gonna say Vice Chair Karen. Also on page 4, line 27, instead of Commissioner Karen, we're gonna say Vice Chair Karen. On page 4, line 32, we're gonna say, instead of Vice Chair Perkins, we're gonna say Commissioner Perkins. On page 5, line 22, Vice Chair Karen. And last one. On page 6, line 18, instead of Commissioner Karen, Vice Chair Karen.
So there may be Robert's etiquette that
Yeah, she may know better.
she may know better.
Okay.
So we'll make those changes.
Well, you're definitely not Commissioner Karen, so you're either
Yeah.
Vice Chair Karen or Chair Karen. And there were 2 places where she had you down as Commissioner, so. And I mean, Dawn must be on vacation, because Sharon did this, and it's very, very difficult to do these, and Sharon did an excellent job with them. So I'm just picking up a couple of things here and there, so. Okay. Go for it.
Well, you found all mine today, Gina.
I left a couple of commas and apostrophes for you.
Get that detailed.
Okay, that's it.
Motion to approve the minutes. All those in favor? 700. All right, seeing no public, there will be public comment, commissioner comments. Eric?
No comment.
Mike?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Nothing?
Good.
Nothing?
No?
I got nothing either.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
I think I got it from you.
You did. 9:10.
Do we have to vote?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Yeah, all those in favor? 700.
9:10.
The keeping, this is
Helpful.
helpful, but it's also distracting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cause I'm like
Yeah.
writing it down and I'm like, oh wait, I got something
Yeah.
else
Yeah.
to do.
That's all right, we can, that's all right, we can